Welcome to my tag of the day. Today we're going to be using Distress Embossing Glaze from Tim Holtz and Ranger. I'm going to be using my Misty platform, stamping platform, to secure my paper and be able to do a repetitive stamp. So I'm going to use Distress Oxide to stamp. You can use embossing glaze and embossing powders with Distress Ink and Distress Oxide because they do stay wet for a bit. I'm using pumice stone, so I wanted a gray, a lighter gray, but I wanted to be able to see the image because I'm going to be adding Distress embossing glaze in specific areas. So I'm going to be using my fingers and just sprinkling it in on the different parts of the image. I go through with 3 different colors and being very specific to where I am going to be adding my glaze. Sometimes when you emboss, just dump the powder right on and hopefully it covers it all. I'm doing it so that it has specific colors. So I shake it off, tap off the extra, and heat set it. It does take about 5 minutes or so to heat set this because the image is so big. I'm going to stamp again because I have some spots where I missed. So I went back with the Distress Oxide and then more embossing glaze, being very specific to where I am placing it on my image. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did in the first step. Tap it, get all the extra loose stuff off, and then heat set it. And I'm going to be using Distress Mica crayons. These crayons were released as a seasonal, I believe in 2020 and 2023. They do have mica in them, so they're a little bit glittery, similar to the mica that's in the new spritz sprays that Tim Holtz has, but these are the crayons. I don't have spritz sprays yet. So dab off any extra or loose color. The embossing glaze helps you stay within the area that you're trying to color because it does lift it up again. I'm going to heat set the crayons. This time I'm going to stamp with black Archival. I wanted to give it a little bit of a shadow, but not a lot. So I just give a loose stamp, image, and then I heat set it. So you can see a little bit of the black there. I'm going to create the background. I'm going with Squeeze Lemonade, which is a little bit brighter than I expected it to be. I didn't use my swatch cards, which I should have, but then I'm going to add a little bit of background. I want it to be more of a watercolor, so I spritz the stamp with water and stamp it on. Again, a little brighter than I thought, trying to get an all-around background just to add interest. Heat set that. Again, like I said, too bright for me, so I'm going to spritz off or wipe off some of it. Spritz some water and wipe it. Heat set it again. I'm going to use a ledger. This time I'm going with a different style of ledger stamp with the Shadow Gray Archival just to add some more interest to the background. I do trim this base a little bit because I want to mat it on black. So it ends up being a 4x8 total size. When I started on the beige paper, it was 4x8, so I just trimmed off about 1/4 of an inch on the top and on the side. Matted it on black. I'm going to use a page tab as my topper this time instead of a standard hole. The Miss You stamp fits right on top of the page tab, which is perfect. So I stamp it on with Archival and then adhere it to the tag. I do want a dangle of some kind or something to hang off of the top. I grabbed a couple things to try. I cut it out. I didn't like it. But I'm going to place an eyelet and use a small mini tag. I do have a drawer full of prepped mini tags that I have ready to go when I'm making my clusters and dangles. And then I add a little bit more color because it was too yellow. But this was my tag of the day. I hope you enjoyed watching. For more tags, visit my playlist on YouTube from my scrap room. Thanks so much. Have a great day.